Recorded June 23rd, 2025. Faster than a rolling O. Stronger than a silent E. Able to leap a capital T in a single bound. I'm not a word. I'm not a plan. I'm Letterman. Speaking of which, I'm out of uniform. There you go. Welcome to the Security Insights Podcast. There you are. And we have our host. We have Brody, Enrique, and Morton. Hello, everybody. How's everyone doing?
Not bad. Do you have any ink on your chest now?
Yeah, on my chest. There you go. For those that are watching us live, you have to have the history of what I did, what I just did. It's not even worth the squeeze of the orange for the juice. But we are the Security Insights Podcast, very deliberate about not saying Microsoft because some people called and slapped their hand and said, "You can't use the word Microsoft." I'm like,
can we be a show too, though, and an experience?
See what now?
Can we be a show and an experience as well?
We could be a show, an experience, a podcast, a thing. I don't know.
Maybe even a band.
They're gonna the I don't know. Sure. So, Henry, Morton, where you guys been? You guys doing all the important things and living your best life. Thank you so much for coming on. I believe me when I say I understand the time difference. I do, because I was there. I know exactly what the time difference is like. How you two doing?
Well, thank you for having us. I really appreciate it. And it's so great to see you guys again. So we have been, I can speak for myself. We are very busy right now. And as a matter of fact, we are planning our next Experts Live event. So we are doing a lot of community planning right now. Trying to make some community love, give back to the community. So it's all about that right now. So that's a lot of things going on.
Yeah, that way right there. Yeah. I know you guys are always doing the community stuff, and it's professional. When you stop one, the next one, even though lots of help, and we've had some of your comrades who are in that circle on the show. Very good. Is there anything to do with experts coming up here in the stateside, or are you guys still working on your next one for the local locale? Or you can't say if you can't say.
Well, we can share. The website is actually online right now, where you can also go in and check it out. It's ELDK 26.expertslive.dk. So Experts Live Denmark 26. Expertslive.dk. So, but I'll share the link afterwards. We are in the early stages right now. To be honest, it will be a huge event, more than 1,000 people. We're targeting roughly 1,150 people. And we will be doing almost 100 sessions spread out on 2 days. So that will include both masterclass training. It will include workshops, sessions, one-on-one, meet the experts, panel discussions. And it will be in the biggest venue. Actually, you stayed by the hotel, I believe, when you were in Denmark. So like this funny building, the next to it, Bella Center. So it will be out there, but that's the venue.
It was a beautiful. I don't know if it was a park proper, but I ran through the woods and passed through the park, and I still remember being on the water too.
Yeah.
When we were on the water, it was super convenient to the rail system. I love Denmark rail system. Also, it's just easy.
Yeah.
And that's good.
We have a planning meeting on Thursday, so where we will be, trying to look at all the details and lay out a plan and stuff like that. So it takes some effort, but we love it. So it's a lot of fun, and now we have tried it a couple of times. So we are, I wouldn't say we're getting used to it, but we are trying to make it more, building up some systems so that we can do it faster and better and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I will. You've been gracious enough to extend a couple of times, just that my work schedule has been conflicting. Not next time. It's only guy. I will be there. You'll see my smiling face, and we got to go out to dinner again. That restaurant we went to last time. Very tasty.
Yeah.
And Henry, what about yourself? You staying out of trouble? I doubt it, but I figured I'd ask anyway, just to be curious.
Thank you. Well, Morten can take all the credit because he's actually doing all the work at the moment for Experts Live. I'm really busy at work doing implementation of Dynamics and Brody's cool tool, Purview, something called Purview.
It's my tool.
I'm not Purview to the Purview. We'll talk about that. And big shout out to the Security Insight show. The entirety of the month of July will be all Purview. We're calling it Purview month.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that. I need it now.
That's going to be some. They're going to be some very, very cool guests. I ran across a cool tool too. We'll talk about it on the next show because I don't have a link stage, but I saw it in a Git and I never really heard about it. I didn't do anything with it. It was called it's Power BI report solution that you can use to. It was called the MDARR tool or something.
Empire.
Is that what it is?
Empire.
You read about it, but I actually saw someone deploy it. I'm like, oh, this is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like an advanced reporting mechanism.
And I'm learning a lot about Purview also secondhand because Security Copilot and the Purview agents and stuff like that. We haven't talked Security Copilot in so long. Is that still a thing? I'm not sure.
But do you think of it as a product or as a suite? Actually, how do you think about it? Because I actually find that it's like a lot of different products inside a product.
I'll get mine, but Brody is the resident Purview expert and client. I don't. My peers do it. In my learning, it is, and I talked to Frank Grimberg about this last week. Big shout out to you, Frank. Come on the show. It seems to me to be a suite with two very distinct entities that then branch out. You're looking at the compliance piece of it, and you're looking at the data protection piece. And one of them seems to be more consultative and very framework driven about how you go about doing your business. And one is about protecting data that makes it really endeared to work closely alongside Defender for Cloud. And they both share, as I understand it, and the Purview people, please correct me, the back-end intelligence about the way it goes and classifies shares a little bit of the same back-end databases, right? They're still distinct. But when I was doing a Defender for Cloud, I said, are these guys using the same reasoning engine to go back and look at classification of data and data at rest? And the program manager, like, of a sort, it is. And then you have to understand that there are two different flavors of Purview, 365 Purview and Azure Purview. I'm like, okay. So we're used to procuring it through buying a license, and you got to have P2 and all this. And then there's a way that you go stand up Purview in Azure. But not to steal the thunder, because I'm not the Purview person, you're going to get all your questions about Purview answers here next month. I think our first show is, 7 days until the month. Our first show is July 7th. I had to look back to the calendar.
Wow.
And so we got one more show in June. Wow. But this show, well, hold on, Brody, what are you doing? Since, you know what? I'm going to raise my glass. It's okay. The Edmonton Oilers are still my people. The Florida Panthers.
I'm not an Edmonton Oilers fan, for the record. And
I am.
Don't get me started because we're not friends. We're not friends. We have history. Our teams.
Well, I was. Man, I followed them. I wanted them to win so bad, but it's not
good enough. They're too top heavy. But like I could talk about hockey the entire episode. Me too.
And they talking about, well, we got to get younger.
Weak on the boards. They're too weak on the boards, and if they break out in the middle, fine. But then you just got to get on them, and they're too top heavy. It's the same thing with Toronto. They're too top heavy. They don't have enough like bottom 6 contributions. See, I could just talk the whole time about this if you want me to, but it's too bad. It's too bad they couldn't get their blank together and get it done this time. But Florida's a powerhouse, so
they start out so slow, man, and they plan for behind, and they get discouraged about it. But you were right. The way we define top table, they were talking about, well, you got to get younger, and then they mentioned gold kids. I don't want to get, I want to go into this experience who's not going to panic, right, and stay down. But what happened? So yeah.
Florida deserved it. The better team won. So I mean, better team won.
To our listeners from last week, I guess we need to do a little explanation. We had a huge scheduling faux pas, so we ended up having to cancel the show last minute, which is probably in the 5 years that we've been in existence, that might have been the only 5th time we've actually had to cancel the show. We I guess had work and we got the scheduling confused. It was a third-party recommendation, and we just everybody thought everybody else was doing something, so we just said, I was out. I wasn't feeling well. I was traveling and got sick traveling. That's what really killed me. But I was trying to get on the show. But big shout out to you, Brody, for handling everything. We'll get that guest rescheduled, and redone. Like we had our guest tonight. People get sick. I mean, I'm surprised more people didn't get sick. At the conference I was at, it was a gazillion million people, and then they had some conference right at the same time where they had young up and coming doctors. They literally had 3,000 kids that checked in one day at the hotel. These are future doctors. I forget the name of the academy. I'm like, where are these kids? They're like ants. They're all over the place. And children you can just see the disease and pestilence around them as they walk around and do that.
It's my daughter's 3rd week at daycare, and I am on my 2nd cold. The first one leveled me 2 weeks ago. Like I was like crippled in a ball. I was like, I couldn't do anything. And I just took the whole day off work. And today it's just a cold. It's just, congestion or whatever. Just, they have meds for that. So,
other than life problems, you break anything good before we get into the meat of the show? Anything?
Break anything? I'm building. What am I doing? I learned a bit of Terraform. Deploying, because customers at Terraform shop, and we're doing an infrastructure as code project with them. And I'm assisting with making sure that their customers automatically receive the assignment of high priority compliance items, like resources that are out of compliance, so that they don't have to manually do that. And then on top of that, ensure that they're being alerted to that. And then I'm also helping make them probably a custom Power BI dashboard within the CCO Insights reporting suite that I've been working a lot with lately to help the leadership team understand when the down level customers are out of compliance for a long period of time, when they're overdue. So I've had to learn the Terraform aspect to do the automation in terms of assigning and alerting on these items, because each customer is responsible for one or more subscriptions. And then also how are we going to report that up? Because they don't want to do, they're very infrastructure as code focused shop these days. That was the point of the project. So so just kind of crash coursed on that, and so I haven't broken anything. We only build in industry solutions. We only build. We improve and modernize. Yeah.
And I jumped into Azure at the beginning of 2009, 2010, whatever it was. That was my exposure to infrastructure as code of sort, because I learned HashiCorp, right? But I haven't touched Terraform. If I had to stumble through it, I probably could, but it's not what I do anymore. But all those things in that whole HashiCorp solution set. But you got ARM and that Bicep, right? I'm surprised Microsoft hasn't bought HashiCorp. I thought they would have bought them, or did Atlassian buy them? I'm not sure who owns them right now, but that was a thing, right? You were really bleeding the edge if you got out of click point, and then just provision it, right? And
yeah, that's what everybody's moving to. Yeah, 100%. And the co-pilots of the world help a lot, right? You've got GitHub Copilot built into this code that helps a bunch, right? But I also leverage ChatGPT 4.0 external and the internal Copilot just to double check my approach. And I really like the external 4.0 because it does the live web search, right? It's not just stuck in 2023 and earlier. So I like that a lot. And then honestly, like one of my devs, shout out to Bino, he's crushing it on the project. He had Copilot write the whole README file for the whole thing. And it did this amazing job of writing the README. I'm getting a bad echo here. Sorry, guys. And so like it just saves so much time, right? And allows you to just to, you know, you're not like looking things up on message boards and everything. Like you're getting past all that, and your velocity is increasing significantly by using Copilot and the various flavors. So it's never been easier to pick it up, honestly.
I actually made a cool project with AI as well, where I have integrated PowerShell and AI together. So I've made a sample script I call PIM Role Advisor, where it has 400 lines of code in PowerShell, and it actually goes out and tells which role to use if you want to do a certain thing, like for example, you want to give permissions in Graph. What role do I need to activate in order for you to do that? And it also, besides that, it also tells which particular group you need to activate from my environment. So it was just a kind of a demo use case or showcase to show how you can integrate this. And I've made 77 prompts using around 2 million tokens, and it cost me $0.23 to do
$0.23.
Yeah, so it's not even $1 to do this, and I'll put the tutorial on my blog as well, so everyone can try it out. I also built like for Sentinel, like it can analyze your log ingest and look at anomaly detection and tell you what are the 5 biggest events that are happening, and what should you do and what should you focus on for each of the servers and in general and stuff like that. So it's just 2 samples that I wanted to also to learn and use a language that I know very well, PowerShell. So it's just fun.
I would throw that link inside the chat so we can share. You know, one thing I'll comment on, we'll jump into the show unless Henry has something, is that there has been a lot of angst about AI really displacing seasoned professionals like ourselves, right? That conversation that started first, it was like we can eliminate, not eliminate, but according to who you talk to the same salesperson, eliminate on Monday, and then Friday, train your people. Which one is it, right? You're going to eliminate that person, or you're going to upskill your junior people. But when it's in security, you'll find that it is taking on a very difficult task, because a lot of things about seasoned security individuals is hard to replicate with AI. The seasoned security individual is probably a seasoned networking person, probably has some very meaningful development experience. And why you can be very specific. If you don't believe me, try this. Write a solution is similar to what Brody did and what you did, and then ask that person, what are the security ramifications as I deploy this as is? It will stall that AI out. It'll give you answers like, well, every environment is unique, without us knowing more information about your environment and everything. So you'll see that these copilots are, you'll see these AI models. Let me stop saying copilot. You'll see these AI models not be able to be very creative or thinking outside the box, because they don't know how to be subjective. They seem to have a little bit bias, but when you ask them the question, do like this: if I deploy this solution that you just wrote, will I get fired for a security violation? But watch what it does. Sometimes they'll come back and say, well, we don't want to answer that. We don't want to say this because it could be career affecting or so. So you'll see that. I found something else that'll break it, and we'll get into the MVP thing. I know bro. Well, God, you're all for it. I'm the only American here. We have Danish, and we have Canadian. We are the show of the people of all the world, right? Are you familiar with the term dad jokes? I'm sure you are.
Yeah, that's my life is dad jokes right now, man.
My life, I love them. If I need a good giggle, a good laugh, I listen to some of them, and I've been doing it, and I love it because it aggravates some people so much. Like,
Yeah.
the dead joke.
Oh, wait. Speaking of that, did you know that they're calling you an owl?
They call me an owl.
Yeah. Did you know that?
I did not know.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
Do you know who?
Ooh. Ooh. You want to do a dead joke? How did a hamburger introduce his girlfriend?
How?
Meat patty.
That's good.
Oh, that's a dead joke. We got to have an episode of security dead jokes. I promise you this. I put one inside of the teams with my group. Nobody got it, so the guy that ran through Copilot. He choked. He said, dude, I must have burned 50 million SCUs or whatever else to finally figure out the answer. Struggled to figure out the answer. And the dead joke is this. What's the difference between 11 plus 11 and 10 plus 10? What? There isn't any. 11 plus 11 is 22, and 10 plus 10 is 22.
That's such a groaner, and I love anything that makes the eyes.
My day is instantly better.
I like that.
But the show is about the Microsoft most valuable professional.
And we have a plan. Oh, okay.
We have a plan today. This is what the show is.
Okay.
Unfortunately, our guests, we have 2 MVPs on here, and I'm sure if Frank Grimberg is listening, he's an MVP one. Frank, we know somebody. We think we can get you in this year. You resubmit your application. I think it's a running joke to see his application come in highly accomplished and go deny. But the MVP program is something that really speaks to the contribution of technology, community, and knowledge enablement and uplift. It's probably absolutely the opposite of what my day job demands of me, because I had some advice for someone and I took it very much to heart. I won't say that person was on the show, but that person said, Ed, you're too salesy. Martin. He told me
what?
Yeah, he did.
So that person like Star Trek.
Yeah. And so if you're at Microsoft, you saw the default salesperson. And you have to be very deliberate of not going into that motion of doing 2 things. Solving the problem, good, and then say, this is what you buy, right? You have to be able to solve the problem by giving people venues and new ways of thinking and ability to go search, right? Everything can be fixed with a purchase. And you said that to me when I met you, Martin. I really took it hard. I looked back at some of the conversations I was having, and they were bleeding to just community conversations with my peers. And I took it, and then someone else repeated, "Yeah, you always sell." And Brody made that comment years ago. Man, they turned you to a salesperson, Edward. Like me, I'm technical.
You can give it back to me because I'm moving into that kind of a role more and more.
You're starting to see all of it be that way. But the heart of the MVP program is to deliver and contribute significantly to the community, the knowledge sharing, and showing a professional diligence and hard work to up your skills to be very. I used to think that it was all about patting yourself on the back, but there are a lot of smart people out there who are not MVPs because their knowledge is often to solve a problem rather than to share the knowledge, right? And show it. And so I love the evaluation process of it. Big shout out to Rod. Rod couldn't make the show. He's in charge of a particular MVP motion that's going on within Microsoft. So I get a deeper look into what it is. But I'm going to ask you guys a trivia question, and we'll have our audience. You can introduce yourselves to some of the newer listeners that we have. When was the first MVP established, and on what product?
Windows.
You can use your regenerative AI tool of choice. Just go look.
No,
Right. Funnier to guess.
like you say, said Windows. That's a pretty broad guess, Henrik.
It's probably SMS.
No.
No?
You're getting to it. It's not an OS. It's
SharePoint.
I will say Active Directory.
No.
No.
You
Exchange.
got to check me on this because this
I
was
can tell
written
you
in a
guys.
magazine that I read, and as it closed out its final issue, 2021, MSDN magazine. The first MVP was Microsoft Access.
That's crazy.
Okay.
I was
enough.
thinking of going in that direction, but I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no.
Please fact check it because the Microsoft MSDN magazine was a perennial magazine for developers and all things. And as they were closing out, all the previous editors were, you know how they write, this has been great, so and so. And they gave the history, and I can't remember the guy's name. He was the first one. He created it, right? And it used to be called the McCarthy Award or something. So just look up the history of the MVP, and you'll see. And maybe a little bit of my facts are off, but it did not come from Windows. It did not come from one of the major solutions. It was Access.
Yeah, Morton.
And it was different. And I'm like, what? You know, back then with the AI, you got to Bing it or Google it. And I'm like, oh, so I kept that issue somewhere I put up just to hold on to. Really, that was very interesting. And so it was named after that. It was named after a person at first, and then they changed it to that. And since you and in that iteration, the MVP program has had numerous other vendors that have emulated it in a manner, but most of them have been dedicated toward you having a specific amount of technical prowess related specifically to that product that had a designation like CCIE, right? That number is covered. CISSP, that number is covered. But you get where I'm coming from. The MVP is a little bit of a hybrid of that, whereas you are very prominent in a technology vertical and you demonstrate that. But as I understand, you guys tell me, is there a public facing number like the MCSE or MCP number? Do you guys have an MVP number? You do?
I do.
Yeah. And I never achieved the MVP. I don't think I've ever achieved MVP. No. They had some cousins to it. Remember Exchange Ranger? Ranger program? That was the thing. Remember the Microsoft Certified Architect MCA back in the day?
Masters. Well, there were masters for examining games and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, they had two of them. Had Active Directory, and there was one more. I can't remember the other. Right. So you see this, but you've seen that the MVP has really stayed true to the thing. Is are you knowledge sharing? Are you relevant in the community? And some people say it's harder now, but some people say it's easier now because back then it was, and you guys correct me, it was hard to get into print, right? So you had to get into printed magazines. You had to have people know your names. You had to be really tied to Microsoft on a very intimate fashion to be able to do it. But with the proliferation of social media, all the things that we have, I think it's harder now because you have to differentiate yourself from all the other folks, right? And now I think the qualifications are harder. How much you writing? What does your book look like?
But I think, Edward, I think for me, being an MVP is not, the important thing for most of us. Some would think of it as a bonus, but because I think all of us would do this if tomorrow, if we are not going to be, renewed, we will continue to do what we're doing. So being an MVP is just kind of the bonus of it. It's not the goal for it. It's actually because we really love to do what we do, and we gain a lot of energy from it, and we can inspire people, and we can say, being on stage or getting a feedback on a blog saying, well, you made my day, or I've been spending 12 hours and I found this blog, and you you nailed it, and so on. And those are some of the things that personally I can say that I gain a lot of energy from, and it's for example, during this event, you can think of it as a huge effort, but it's actually a lot of fun to do it. And I'm also learning a lot along the way. And it's also to learn about other people, our strengths, how can we each contribute to a project like this, and make sure that also there's time for the kids and the family along the way as well. So it's and it even starts before that. We also covered the Learn program that you had Niklas in with the Microsoft Learn student ambassador program. So it even begins before the MVP program as well. So I think it's a lot about community and a lot about sharing, and the MVP is just, I would say, the side effect of it. Of course, we have a focus, a deep technical focus, and we spend a lot of time with the product teams giving feedback and continuously improving, and we are out talking about it, and we are often doing some early adapter things on this as well. But again, going back, it's a lot about the sharing part, I think.
I agree.
Well said.
I think it's harder now, and you have to be in the right place at the right time, because you will find that most of the MVPs, I don't know if you guys are dual MVPs. I am. Yeah, I won't say several, but it's a rare. And then I've met some triple MVPs, right? And I'm like, what amazes me is, like, I know you guys are smart. I know you can do this. It's the ability to achieve that high level recognition when you can't focus, when you have so many products that you have to do. So, how you become an Azure MVP or security MVP, and then inside the MVP program, you can be very specific into a product that gives you recognition. But you're starting to see people become this is going to be an oxymoron juxtaposition here. You're starting to see the emergence of highly specialized generalists. And that is like, wait a minute, you specialize to a generalist. You're seeing that. And the generalist is because instead of being super specialized on one aspect of a product, they're expecting you to be an expert on the platform. S.T.A.R, right? Defender for Cloud in itself is a career, right? And you're starting to see these all across. Like when I went for my CCIE, you were routing and switching. I was confused that first time around because there are so many different router types. The Catalyst OS, I'm dating myself, 5505, 2901s, and things you put in your lab. But they weren't testing you on the hardware. They were testing your ability to navigate Cisco iOS, right? And being able to do these things. So once I realized they're not testing you on how to configure individual things, if you can write it here, they very, very rarely test you on the feature and functionality between hardware types. Can you navigate that? When you're seeing this in the MVP, how do you focus on being an Azure Cloud MVP, right? Am I data AI? Am I security? Am I analytics? Is there such thing as a quantum MVP?
No, but you have to specialize. So for example, I'm an Azure MVP and I'm also a security MVP, but you have to go into a technology area. So in my technology area is management or governance. For example, Azure Monitor and stuff like that. And inside the security, it's SIEM. So we each of us has a number of specialties in the area, because if you go to Azure, for example, how many Azure servers do we have today? 200. You cannot cover them all, so you have to focus. So I think that's also part of being an MVP, that you can go deep on these topics here.
Harry, how is it for you to do it? You're a consultant, right?
Yeah, he's consulting. I'm a customer. I'm a customer actually to Microsoft.
We're all customers.
Yeah, so I'm the real deal here as a customer. The struggle was also real for Morten for dual MVP, right? I remember at Summit, Morten had the struggles. should I go to the after party for Azure or should I go to the security ones? I mean, the
So what
struggle
did
is
I
real.
do, Henrik? So what did I do?
Yeah,
I
you went to the mall.
Yeah, you go to both.
Go to both big time, right?
Yeah. And the
Shake
struggle is
hands,
real.
kiss babies, go to the next one. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's hard. It's definitely hard to be in more categories, because even just in the security one where I focus, there's a huge ban in the XDR stuff, right? If you know MCAS, you know identity and the endpoint stuff and the cloud, and then Defender for Cloud and Sentinel. It's really huge topics to be able to cover, and also just throw in Entra ID, of course, because of service principles and stuff like that. I guess the key point of those that are MVPs we actually see is that everything we all have in common is probably the growth mindset, the woke stuff that we love to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody loves to learn.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that is not a overreaching thing. I think everybody loves to learn. They just like to learn at their own pace, at their own volition, and at their pace. You know, you mentioned a couple of topics, and Martin mentioned Sentinel, and we were just talking that if you are truly at level 300 or 400 level Sentinel, you're probably a pretty deep, cloud security architect for Azure. That kind of stuff we have to know, because those Sentinel pieces are built upon a cloud platform. They're not Sentinel. You're talking about log analytics. You're talking about event hubs. You're talking about logic apps. You're talking about VCRs. You're talking about all these things that you are configuring a logic and intelligence and a feature set on top of a cloud platform. And the differentiator is that they do some security stuff in it, right? And so you have to learn PowerShell, right? I know KQL is the language of heavy for these things, but PowerShell is still how you do a lot of things in there. And then once I started doing Sentinel years ago, I tried to stay away from it. You better learn some Python. You got to get it in. You start messing with notebooks. You got and each of the feature sets, you could be a subject matter expert inside Sentinel by just knowing 2 or 3 feature sets. Like, I stay away from notebooks. They're hard. I never was good at misting notebooks, Jupyter notebooks. I still not. But I love being able to take markup and JSON and create workbooks, right? And I like analytic rules, and I like Yuba. But some of the other stuff, I'm like, I don't want to do that, right? Let me ask the question, and I'll start with you, Henry. I've met both of you. You are very humble. You don't look for a lot of praise and all that. Why did you go for the MVP? I'll start with you, Henry. Why did you get it? Was it a bet? Was it a promotion?
I can actually tell you what the story was with me, because I have been doing what I've been doing for more than 30 years. And I think I've been doing what I'm doing. So it's the same that I do today that I've been doing for the last 30 years. But at one point, there was a Microsoft person that said to me, Morten, you should start to do some blogging, to share all your things externally, because you're giving a lot of value back to the product teams, but you should actually start to do this in a formal way. So I started to do that, and I was nominated on the 6th of January. On the 1st of February, it was announced internally at Microsoft that I was an MVP. It took 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Morten is connected.
That's actually fast.
That is very fast. That I was told
that is a record, right?
Story. Yeah, so it went very, very fast. So I think it's also about knowing a lot of people and having the connections and making sure that they know you, and being considered as a person that gives back to the product team, and you can gain value from it. So I think working with Microsoft, a large corporation like we have, that you are a part of, it's so great to work with you guys, because when you know the people, you can actually feel that how small it is in a way, because you can go directly to the team that can do the change, or that can fix an issue, or where you can maybe give some feedback about some things that should be in a different way and stuff like that. So I think that's the great part of being an MVP, is that we have access to this knowledge sharing to the product team, and the ability to discuss things. And for me, it actually started when I was part of the private, the customer connection program.
Yep.
That was kind of my way into this as well.
I can give my story too.
Yeah, I want to hear your story, Cloud Ninja. Let's go.
Yeah, so actually it was funny because I remember I was watching it. I think it was a December show. Morten was on a podcast called the Dude Security Inside Show, and and it was a Christmas episode, and he was on and he was talking about something called the CCP program, and it had been a while since Morten and I talked, and he asked, "Hey, did you see this program?" And I tuned in for the awesome show that time, still is. And then I also joined the CCP program because I have also been learning since, taking every certification I could take, but not using them for anything, just having them because, yeah, why not? I love learning, so why not prove it to myself? And then I spent a year in the CCP program also just testing out stuff because I love testing out new stuff. I love, who doesn't like new gadgets and new features? I mean, I do. And then, I also got nominated through the CCP program and also got a mail. The funny thing is, I actually was nominated in October, and I totally forgot everything about it. And then I got a mail in January at some point. Congratulations. And I was like, what? Oh, yeah, that was the MVP stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool.
So working at Microsoft gave me the insight. So big shout out to Christina Quick, who runs the CCP program. And that team is what Rod, our co-host, is part of that team for Purview now. And so one of the biggest things I did, and I learned a lot about it, is because in the infancy of Sentinel, that CCP program was not too much older, or maybe created along the same lines. Maybe just my purview of it, no pun intended. I didn't realize it was there. But you're right, who doesn't love the CCP stickers? And so I actually worked in it, did it. I've never been as far as a customer because my entirety of my knowledge is because of employees at Microsoft. But I got all my customers in it. That's like one of the things I do when I'm on board. If you're using this technology, you need to be in here and contribute and listen to your peers. I really got to understand the nuances of it when I was part of the Defender Experts team. You got all of that. Just look at it. Show off. And if you guys are watching live, Henry is showing off all his CCP badges. I got him too, man. It's called Campbell. You just make them up, right? Go to Crowley and make them up. And so you get to provide that feedback, and you get, when we've had shows about this. Matter of fact, it's a show coming up. Very much about that coming up. I think it's next week to talk about the CCP program. And you get to provide feedback that is actually being reviewed, from surveys to private previews and things along that line. The CCP program actually allowed me to, I don't know if I can disclose on the show, but to review a private preview feature set that was coming out that I found huge deficiencies in it. And I was able to reach back out and say, yo, we need to look at this. This is, I don't think I've ever shared this with you guys. I'll share it with you later. I wrote a paper on it internally. The paper could not be published publicly. And that program is excellent. The cool part about it is that once you are approved, you get added to that Microsoft Teams channel, and you get all the stuff. You get to see it. Teams is easy now. You can flip between personas. That way I don't, and if you know how to do it, you can isolate teams. I can run two different teams with two different logins at the same time. I can see, I don't have to switch anymore. I can just watch both of them now, right? But that's the cool thing about it. But the MVP program, when I think I had gotten close enough to, and I knew enough about it, I was still a customer. how many of you guys remember the virtual TSP when you had a purple badge? So you had a purple badge, you were almost a blue badge in Microsoft. You had access to all the things. I think the requirement, you had to work at a partner, you had to be sponsored. You could go into all the buildings, you could do all the CIE labs, all those things. They changed the terminology to a P-seller. And now that it doesn't have teeth, I think now the teeth has solely been given to MVPs, where you get that badge at work, you get access to stuff. You can call the product group, they know who you are. They absolutely will return your email. We heard about all the goodness. What's the struggle? You can't have a hero without a villain. So what's the bad part about it? We just open disclosure here. And I know the obvious is
renewal.
I would just want to add one more comment to what you were saying, Edward, which is the CCP program, because now it has actually scaled out. So several of the product teams within Microsoft, for example, in the Azure team, has now adopted this. So now we actually have an Azure, connection program as well. So this is really cool that the way of working has now expanded to more product teams. They are not fully adopted the Teams way of working. They're using Yammer, but again, the most important thing is that we have a structured way to communicate and give feedback and have a dialogue on this. So I in general, I love it. And the second part about the struggle, so for you, I think for some people that want to become an MVP, it can be a struggle if they don't know who to talk to, and they don't know how. Maybe if they are more introvert, it can be a struggle. Considering if you're more easy with people to speak with and stuff like that. So I think I have a lot of people that come to me and ask if I can help to get to talk with the right people and stuff like that, because that can be a little struggle. So I know some people that really wants to become an MVP are struggling in that area, and we really try as much as we can to help. But it can be a little struggle.
Yeah,
that's a good point. That's a good point.
I think my biggest thing to sort of never achieve the accreditation, and I think when I probably got good enough to achieve it, I work at the mothership, so you can't be an MVP and work at Microsoft. You can't gain a credential if you're already here. If you were one prior, you have it, but you can't renew it until you leave.
Yeah.
But one of the things that when I came up, and I think I'm probably the oldest one on the call,
easily,
my badge is I used to train. So ATG, New Horizons, I still carry my Microsoft Certified Trainer designation. I renew it every year because that was my give back. I like to get up on the podium. The labs never worked. You have to go configure all the stuff, and you get all your laptops out of the case they used to send to you. You set up on the table the Pelican case, and you test everything out. And I remember, teaching Exchange 2007, OCS, teaching Exchange 2010, migration, teaching BPOS, all those things. So I still renew my, my Microsoft Certified Trainer. And then oddly enough, I haven't taught a course in 2 years, but I did the qualifying stuff to be able to do it. And so I actually logged in and said, oh my God, there's different venues that you can renew. You can go teach a course for free at a college or high school. They will recognize that, right? You have to use the official curriculum. So I logged in to download it. And I'm like, oh my God, I forgot all these resources you have. I mean, complete concierge, PowerPoints, Words, lab setup. The lab environment got blasted to atoms last year. And they went to a new lab provider. I have no idea what's going. But I found a renewed feel good this week because I actually had to log in, renew my trainer, put my CPEs in. And then I really went to the MCT, what do we call it? Not Village, MCC. Yeah, we got a name for it, right? It's still on Yammer. And so I went through all the course material, and I go, oh shoot, look at all this stuff. download all the things and the thing, because we're so used right now to just going to learn.microsoft.com and all these other things. There are still companies who are out there making revenue by teaching in-person courses. That seems so archaic these days, but that's still a thing. And I think you're seeing the resurgence of this. And I don't want to predict, no tea leaves here, that employers are sending their employees away to go get training. Because if you got to do training in your house, which is now your new office, you're not going to do it. You're just not. You're distracted. The dog's barking, the bees are buzzing, and the woodpecker pecking on my house every morning. Not for long, though. I promise you that. And so I love that piece. When I hear the MVP arena, you just, to me, it seems like, I know YouTube, Mona that's been on, a few others that have come onto this. It seems like it is a thing that it's a blessing and a curse. You got it. Renewal come up, you don't want to lose it. You want to hold on to it because you want to go to that party in Redmond. You said Usher was there. I'm like, wait a minute, why am I not there, right? And and then when you're MVP, you get to come on cool shows like this and hang out and get singing.
Yeah,
the redacted shirt. We got to get you guys updated shirts.
The struggle with the renewal process is probably it's because there isn't it isn't defined. How do you become an MVP? The road for Morten and me has been different, right? We're doing different stuff in the MVP space than so a lot of other people. So every time somebody is asking me, I'm saying you got to find your own way and do what makes you happy. It's not a job.
And I also want to say the good thing about it is that you can contribute in many ways, also depending on how it fits into your life. For example, let's say you are like Brody, having a small kid, a 1 year old, then maybe you want to be home, and then maybe you're doing a lot of blogging, as an example, or writing a book or whatever. Whereas in my case, my daughter is almost 18 and son is almost 17. So I can maybe go travel and speak or whatever works.
You're free, Morten. You are free.
I'm not, but the things are different depending on where you are in the life and how you feel and what you like. So I know a lot of fantastic people writing fantastic blogs and doing a great job, and I know a lot of people that enjoy to go out and speak and present and some write a book or whatever they do. So that's a good thing about it. There's no right or wrong way to do it. We find our way, as Henrik is saying.
Yeah, I like that. As we get toward the back end of the show, we get ready to close here, is that for those who saw the title of the show, our net new listeners, maybe you thought the show would be about a very prescriptive and descriptive way to achieve the MVP status. As Martin and Henrik said, there is no wrong or right way. Your path will be your path, right? And so we didn't come on to sit here and say, here are the check things to do, because we don't want to see it and give you the impression that if you do these things, that when you submit your application, that's going to be a shoo-in. You could be the most prolific blogger out there making the videos. You could be Savalas, the guy that has the big old arms on YouTube that's stretching. Like, dude, get a bigger shirt. Is he right? He doesn't say, I don't want any beef. I'm just kidding. But you can find that level of achievement without having volume. If you believe volume would get you there, that's not the case. It is absolutely the value. Because if you think that in this day and time, with this day and time, it has to be value driven. Are you contributing to the uplift of the content community in relationship to this? Because I believe there's going to be a higher scrutiny now with these generative AI models that can run a blog for you, that can do these things. And so now I call, what did we say on the other show? You have to press the spin. You have to be up on stage. You have to shake the hands. You have to go through these things. A lot of it is also, what will you pay out your pocket? Because when you travel to these things, a lot of these things may not be sponsored by your company. But I'm going to Black Hat. and my job's not going to pay for it. I will take that if you allow me to have the time off. That's sufficient for me. But I need to go there because I feel I've been so disconnected from the security arena that I want to go out and see what security does these days. What is everybody doing? And that's when I'm not going to miss the Defender experts. The one in Denmark, you will see my pretty face there. And I don't know if I can say it's on the show. I'll edit it out if I can't a little bit late. If we do it in New York City, I'm there. I will be there, barring if my job tells me I got to be somewhere else. But it won't be because I don't want to come. It's because I can't come. So we have to get out there and do the handshake and press the flesh, as they say, skin you're in. Because now I can use the tools. If you want me to look like Rod Trent and write 1,900 blogs a day, right? But I can look at his writing style and realize he's writing a lot of this stuff because I've known him enough to know this is his. I can see the typos. You guys don't catch it. I can see the way he talked being from Ohio and how he writes stuff. And Brody knows I'm the worst person when it comes to the English language. I mispronounce people.
I never said that.
Yeah, I'm horrible. I just am. But it lends to a humanity. It makes me seem very genuine when I come up to you and I say something incorrect, and you don't rush to correct me. You go, oh, I knew what he meant. Yeah, I know what he meant. He's fine, right? The MVP program still has a lot of prestige. The fact that Microsoft still spends money to host the MVPs speaks volumes. It's a lot of cutbacks, but that's not going to be cut back upon. I think that the program is actually expanding, right? I don't know any AI MVPs. I do know some security copilot, which I know it's AI, but it's on the product specific. I'm talking about Azure Foundry, and I'm talking about some of the other stuff.
I know. They're also from Denmark.
And here's another thing as we close the show. There's a huge, and the world's a big place, but if you just don't go look for it, it seems to be a huge amount of MVPs that are not US. They're a lot in other countries. I don't know what to make of that. I won't say disproportionately because that makes it seem like there's a set standard and now it's deviating from it. That's not the case. But when you look up these MVP names, and I think you can find a database, you see like, oh my God, the MVPs all over the world. When we add all of them up, they're larger than the number of MVPs that are US based or US citizens or US whatever it may be. I never figured that out, and I think it's the sharing and caring aspect of it that you can go after MVP. I've hit some people up, Jan from Kuso Query and KQL Search. They answered. Oh yeah, Nagar, Sergey, and sometimes if I hit the same question to someone that may be an MVP in the States, the response comes, and I want to attribute it to the time zone. Maybe when I'm asking, we're sleeping, and then when it's out there, you can't maybe getting up. It looks like that's a big thing to be able to show your knowledge. And once again, not bragging, just a matter of facting, and you do it. So I don't know. We had the same thing on our show. Brody and I would always have certification, contests in the fall, because he said he was busy during the spring and the summer, right? There you go. But we haven't taken it in a while.
By the way, I want to just make a small commercial here about our event in Denmark, because the topic that we are talking about here, where you can actually go up. We have a tent. We're going to make some different tents, and one of the tent is for community, and there are some sessions where you can book one-on-one with some MVPs, and one of the topic is career path. So you can come up, ask questions about how can I become an MVP, or what should I do if I want to go into community? Can you help me to do that? So people can actually book on a website like a 30-minute session with some MVPs and come up and ask questions in a safe place. And the second topic we have is actually the CCP program. So we can book people that want to learn more about it and speak with people that are part of it as well. So that was kind of my little commercial show here.
I love it. Forgive me for not knowing exactly when that CCP is coming up, but I think the trailer's on it. So
Next week.
Yes, next week. Definitely, we want you two back. I will be respectful of the time zone, but definitely come back on it because I was thinking today. I work here, and half of that stuff was like, we doing that? We doing, because I have CXE meetings all the time and PG meetings, but I'm being flooded in the face and like, okay, I got to focus on this. I did have some stuff for the show notes. I'll share them. I'll put them in the show notes. We'll talk about them. There was a very good Defender mind map done by cybergeeks.cloud. They have a very detailed one. I'm looking at it off screen right here. As we get to the end of the show, I don't want to shortchange it. But this is probably one of the better mind maps that expands in the Microsoft Defender product suite from why products are named the way they are, acquisitions in the timeline. This acquisition led to this product. Here are the subset of this product. I'm actually feeling really good about myself because somebody asked me a question today about Microsoft Defender for Cloud at MCAS. I was like, oh my God, somebody asked me MCAS. So I went into it around app governance and conditional access. And I had to really I don't know. I haven't done this. We figured it out. There's a very underdocumented thing that you have to do to be able to do app governance and continued access. You have to give that particular individual the ability to onboard applications. It seems like it's not intuitive. And we need to have another episode about just Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps, aka MCAS, aka Adelon. They're getting out of the DLP market. No more. All that's moving to Purview. There'll be no more DLP and data classification and all this other stuff. They're changing what it's being used for. And it's primarily being used for detections of AI activity and things along that line in your infrastructure. So I got to meet those guys, Patrick and a few other guys that are from that product group in Charlotte. I did not know. They were like, we handing all this off to Purview. This won't be us. And then when you go look at the data glossary of what they can see for AI applications, it's like 400 plus of them. Like anybody can write an AI. I'm gonna make a Brody app here in a minute. I'm gonna make a dad joke AI. We're gonna do that. So what do you call a moose with no name?
What?
Anonymous.
Almost had that one.
You almost got it. You gotta be looking at that.
Yeah, I was like, Moosey.
Go to bed, Edward.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna say every show going forward, that's gonna be the requirement to come on. You have to come with a dad joke or a mom joke. See, I don't like that. I like mom jokes, dad jokes, and then parent jokes. There are three distinct differences, right? Yeah, then we need to do that. I want to thank both of you so much. You guys have been friends of the show. I've not been a better colleague because every time you come to the States, I seem to miss you, whether it be Florida, New York, whatever else. I'll be better this year, I think. Perhaps. Don't know. You're always welcome to come on, co-host and everything else. I will be there next year. Not leaving me out. I will be there. I may have to sleep on Henry's couch, whatever else. And just,
It's okay. You can sleep on my couch.
Thanks everybody so much for tuning in to the Security Insight Show.
Can I just say something? I mean, if somebody tuned in for this program and wanted to hear about something MVP, feel free to look me up on LinkedIn and just write me. And probably also Morten is available. And we'll, of course, give our feedback, which we normally do when people ask us.
Yeah. So we will definitely put your LinkedIn profiles, if appropriate, and you guys can either deny or accept.
Yeah, we don't mind.
Firewall,
We
right?
love helping.
And
sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring. I guess I don't know. This is a pretty bad heart. You got this heart, you need to go your scene. You got a Grinch heart if you got mine. There you go. Everyone, we will be back next Monday, and we'll be talking about the CCP program. which is the customer connection program, which is AKA for the ability to give feedback and be accepted into certain product private previews, public previews, things along that line. Super interesting. Our host, Rod Trent, he sits as part of that team on a very specific product set around Purview. And I think this will be very enlightening. We've done this before. This will be the second time I think we've had Ms. Click on. But now it's evolved. I'm super interested because I actually helped create and V-team the Defender Experts CCP portion of it and bring in those customers. So it was a good stretch assignment for me. I learned a lot. I thought it was easy. It's not easy. To get people to participate is not easy. They just won't do it. They'll complain, but they won't contribute, right? But that program has proven itself to be a venue that a lot of changes have been by virtue of that program existing. So to everyone, have a good one. Stay out of trouble. We'll talk to you guys and ladies next week.